Great piece, great piece, great piece, Shakoki. So the Voter Rights Act was modified the other day by the Supreme Court, and it got a 6-3 decision, um, basically in favor of restricting voters' rights. This is my take on that, right? I don't see anything wrong with the Constitution being enforced. Um, the Constitution is clear that it's along Republican lines. It protects Republican rights. It doesn't protect Democratic minority rights. So I have no problem with that at all. The problem that we have is that people are they're abusing their voter powers. Um, when you abuse your voter powers, you have the option of um, making sure that the Constitution is protected, meaning that you don't abuse your voter power, making sure that, you know, um, you don't abuse other people's civil rights. I'm trying to be very square about this because I don't want to say the wrong thing or anything like that because this is a very sensitive topic. Um, we've seen in the past, like, the voting was very, very stipulated on electing people from your particular community. You didn't want anyone to represent you outside of that. Well, this protects that, right? Um, I take, for example, right? If you're someone like who's never voted before and you want to vote, right? You don't know who to vote for. Well, you can write someone in. You don't have to rely on someone coming along getting all this federal funding from the DNC and you never saw this person before. Now they're representing you in your politics. That was a constitutional move against that because, again, that's unconstitutional when someone who you don't know, right, is trying to vote for you or trying to represent your politics without representing your politics. That could be an issue all around. So, that's what that was a move against because, the Supreme Court is going to protect the Constitution either way. Um, the 1965 Voters Act, I don't think it should have been passed. It shouldn't have been passed either way. So, even though they wanted it to. So, I say bring in more Republican districts. We need Illinois to turn Republican. We need Michigan to turn Republican. You know, we could finally do away with these unstrenuous laws that allows criminals to run rampant in communities. You know, um, these light sentences. You unalive someone and all of a sudden you get a slap on the wrist, that type of thing. You know, so um, if I'm reading this correctly, right? So I'll go ahead and read an excerpt from this article that I have right here that I just pulled up. Um, I'll go. Let me see. This is something that Ellis said, a professor at a university law school. We, in essence, are asking plaintiffs now to find a smoking gun, the proof of the racist intent that sort of objectively and consciously articulated in order to prove their case, Ellis said. The problem with the discrimination cases is that more legislatures in this context know better than to say that, right? Okay, that's an excerpt from there. See, it's become about something completely different. than what it was originally meant to entail. Because like when people speak about these things, I don't necessarily think they know what they're talking about as far as like what exactly is at jeopardy. You know what I mean? This is about Republicans and Democrats sizing the government out of money interests. You know, Republicans were constituted to protect a Republican form of government. And, Democrats have, taken majority of the districts in the North. So that's not supposed to happen, essentially. So, everybody's in an uproar. I don't see why. I don't see why. Maybe because people aren't understanding what exactly they're reading or hearing, I would say. But that's that. So I'll go ahead and close out. Great peace, Yakoki.